What was the first, in Ethiacin, because again, that song is so powerful. What was the first line that you wrote or maybe you kept repeating after that experience?
You said, don't ever eat the acid if you don't want to be changed like it changed me. You said, all the edges got so jagged. Now everything you saw then can't be unseen. Last night, I saw it all. Last night, I talked to God.
Hey friends, it's your girl, Emily Curl. We are here at our iHeartRadio headquarters in New York City, and we are hanging out with Kesha today as we celebrate her new album. Can we give it up for Kesha, please, being in our studio? It's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. I'm so excited.
This is awesome. New album, new name. I want to start with that. So we have a new Kesha here. You've dropped the money sign officially from your name. New Kesha, tell me a little bit about this. Why did you decide to do this?
I just think it's indicative of where I'm at in life. Like, I'm a grown-ass woman,
Yes.
And the dollar sign started as an ironic nod because I was broke. I was like, fuck it, I am money, bitches.
We've evolved.
Yeah, we have evolved. So, yeah, I just feel like it's more indicative of who I am now.
Yeah, and when was that official, name change?
Oh, God, it's been years.
Been years. Okay, so this is the new era. We have Gag Order coming out, which that title alone, Gag Order, obviously a very provocative title.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the album and this project.
So this album, I exec produced and worked with Rick Rubin on the entire thing. And it was very surreal. I started writing it during quarantine, during lockdown, when we all collectively went through an enormous trauma. And different people to varying extents, but I think for me, it was really difficult to be that still because my entire life, any anxieties I've ever had, I had shit to do. I had to put it aside. So I'd put it aside for about 12 years. And then in the stillness, the anxiety just really took over, and writing this album was my coping mechanism.
I mean, already we've got a taste of two of the tracks, and it feels so personal. And, even in, Fine Line, I felt like I was reading your diary entry, your journal. How did you take those moments and those times and turn it into art? And what was that turning point where you're like, okay, I think this is actually going to be music. This could be an album.
So the first song I wrote was Ethiacin, and that song I wrote after a really intense night where I turned to meditation with my anxiety. And I'm sitting in bed, super anxious, and my cat walks up with my headphones in.
Mr. Peeps, I love.
I'm the most famous cat in the world.
I'm a cat person. I love it.
Respect the queen. So he walks up with my headphones in his mouth, which he's never done before, and plops them on me. And so I usually meditate with the headphones in. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna meditate. Mr. Peeps says so. And I just had the most psychedelic experience, being totally sober.
I was going to ask.
Totally sober.
Okay.
And I felt like I really got in touch with my higher consciousness or source energy or whatever you want to call it. I had a full-blown vision, conversation. And I woke up the next day and I was so scared that I just officially had lost my marbles. So I called my doctor, my therapist, and I was like, okay, guys, it happened. What do I do now? And they both said, oh, congrats, you've had a spiritual awakening. So I just kind of leaned into it, and I wrote Ethiacin the next morning.
What was the first, in Ethiacin, because again, that song is so powerful. What was the first line that you wrote or maybe you kept repeating after that experience?
It was, you don't want to be changed like it changed me. You said, don't ever eat the acid if you don't want to be changed like it changed me. You said, all the edges got so jagged. Now everything you saw then can't be unseen. Last night, I saw it all. Last night, I talked to God.
Full chills.
Thanks.
And in that moment, and when you're writing this, what do you feel like you realized about yourself? And what was it that took you to that next level?
I think that sometimes I just started reading A Course in Miracles, and it almost felt like when you're stuck in this mental loop, it was almost miraculous to have something else come in and change my perspective. So I got to kind of focus on gratitude instead of the anxiety.
It's interesting. I come from a spiritual family. I'm spiritual myself. And I sometimes think the more that you think about like miracles, like you said, or these like awakenings, the more they happen for you.
Yeah.
Have you had anything in particular since then where you're like, this has felt like a miracle moment or has felt like a breakthrough?
Well, so since that situation happened, I started writing the album.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to start exploring the paranormal. So I have a show on Discovery Plus called Conjuring Kesha. So I would go to all these haunted locations and see what would happen. But I thought it was pretty expansive when I heard voices that weren't there. I heard screaming that wasn't there. When the ghost box said my name, I saw my cameraman in front of me get scratched down the spine, and he had like 4 layers of jackets on, and it happened all in front of me. So ever since, these little experiences that make me feel like, oh, there's something else, it's such a relief because it's not all up to me. I'm not in control of everything. It's like amazing.
It's freeing. It's freeing in a way.
Yeah.
Did any of those, like those experiences, like more of a, like you were saying from your show, did any of those things inspire tracks on the album or inspire the music?
Yeah, absolutely. All of these kind of esoteric and psychedelic experiences contributed to the sound of the album because I wanted the album to sound like walking through insecurity, rage, anger, grief, sadness, loss, heartbreak. I wanted to walk through all of it publicly and talk about my strange psychedelic experience because I can't be the only one that has experienced these things.
Yeah.
Like anytime I open up about my experience, someone in the room will say, I have to tell you about my experience later. Because it's almost fringe to talk about these supernatural or spiritual things that happen. So I just want to make it a little more mainstream to talk about.
Yeah. And we're grateful for that. Because like you said, music is such a connective power. So what a unique way that you get to share that with us.
Yeah. And I think I really did, with the help of the people around me in the studio, we captured in sound how these experiences feel, which it's not all like candles and yoga mats,
Right.
Like it's scary, it's intense, it's beautiful, it's hopeful, it's weird. So I'm really hoping people respond to the album because I spent 3 years trying to make sure it really emotes how I was feeling.
On that same note, I feel like those same emotions were evoked looking at the album artwork, where obviously it's like a gag order, literally, figuratively, but it's still beautiful and the colors are nice. It's soft. Like there's like that juxtaposition there. I'm curious, what was the creative process behind getting the visuals right to match a body of work that's so important to you?
I work with an amazing creative partner, Brian Rotinger, who I trust implicitly. And we just kind of talked through all the emotions I wanted people to feel when they watch the visuals.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was just such a great partner. He really encouraged me to strip back my classic, like more is more look. Bare not only my soul in the music, Rick encouraged me to do that, but then Brian encouraged me to do that in the visuals. So I really feel like it's a bearing of souls of sorts.
Did that feel like almost more vulnerable for you than the music or vice versa? What felt more challenging?
Oh no, it was all gnarly. It was all so gnarly. There's one song on the album that whenever I play it, I kind of just like hide because it's so personal and intense because I have anxiety. So on occasion, if anyone out there suffers from anxiety, if you have an anxiety attack, it's very unpleasant. And I've had a fair amount in my life. And during one song, I decided, I've had these before, but I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to write a song in the middle of it. Like, why not? Let's just try something else. If it doesn't work, then no one ever has to hear it. But that ended up being Rick's favorite song. It's the first thing he wanted to work on because he was like, this is so honest. This is so real. And for me, it still is like so vulnerable. But I trust him in the process that hopefully by being vulnerable, maybe somebody out there will feel not alone.
Right. And I mean, I can imagine like listening back to that, you go back to that moment in time, right? So it's almost like, you know, it takes you back. How do you emotionally prepare for not only like the music you created, but for this album to come out, to have people listening and reacting? It's like, do you have to prepare in a certain way for that?
Oh, totally. I think I have to stop reading comments because I haven't put out music in 3 years. So I get excited and like to like stalk my animals. And it's really fun. But occasionally you get like a rogue asshole. So I just, or you just don't give a fuck. One of the two things. If I'm feeling too sensitive, then I'll not look. And when I'm feeling like a bad bitch, then I'll look and just talk shit back.
I stopped reading comments and it really changed my life. It really does. It's like at this point, it's like, what am I going to do?
It really does. And there's a song I wrote about it. There's a song on the album I wrote about people dealing with that.
Yeah. I cannot wait. I've only heard the 2 songs, like I said, so I cannot wait to hear the whole album. But I want to go back to something you said earlier. You're talking about like the old Kesha that we know and love. Are there any parts of the old Kesha that you bring into this new era of Kesha? And is there anything on the other end, is there anything that you're leaving behind that you don't want to bring into this new era of music?
I think that the old version of myself, that's me growing up. I look back at her lovingly, fondly, with a lot of grace and compassion because some of my like fashion choices and word choices were not always super eloquent. But I like knowing that has been solidified in time on an album. That's why it's fun to make records. You get to put who you are at the time on an album, and that lives until the world explodes. So I don't like hate her. I love her. She's a part of me. I'm a grown-ass woman, you know? And I want my music to reflect where I'm at. And I'm feeling like a centered, bad bitch.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, producer Shelly, he's like, yep, yes, you are. No, it's funny. Even with me, I had to go back and delete old Facebook albums because I'm like, that was a different version of me then. I was like, you can't even. But it's hard when you're growing up on the internet. You know, you put stuff online. It's a whole thing.
Oh, it's like when I look up, which I don't. That is something I don't do. I don't Google myself. But when I have accidentally seen things from my younger years, it's like gives me the idiot shivers. But then I just have to be like, you were having a good time. You were having a good time.
So much for so many of us, and you still do. On the other end, is there an outfit you look back on where you're like, oh, this actually was so sick, and I'm so glad I made this choice?
I stand by my garbage bag dress. I felt like everyone was saying I looked like I just crawled out of a trash can, so I then made it into a dress. A garbage bag.
Lean in. I love it. Well, Kesha, we're so excited for this album. Thank you for sharing some of these stories and sharing so much of your heart and soul in it. I'm curious, for all your fans watching, of course, this is iHeart. We are for the fans. If you could send them one message in response to this album coming out, maybe what you want them to take away from it, what would it be?
I would be lost without you. You give me purpose, and I have held on to the day that you're going to hear this album for the past 3 years of my life. Thank you for allowing me to grow into who I am and sticking with me on this journey. And you give my life purpose. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, that's beautiful. Y'all, can we give it for Kesha? Kesha being in our studio. It's so nice to get to chat with you. My only request is next time, can you bring Mr. Peeps to the office?
Oh,
you know I need him.
Chicken. Yeah, everyone loved to.
Amazing.
Everyone loved it.
Thank you for being here, everyone, of course. Thank you so much for watching. Kesha's new album, Gag Order, is out soon, so make sure you stream and listen to everything, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Did you like that video? You can check out more over here. And don't forget to subscribe to iHeart right here. And if you're already a longtime fan, make sure you ring the bell down below so you don't miss a single video. Bye guys.